When you're autistic, it's a common occurrence to have misunderstandings and communication breakdowns with neurotypical people or autistic people, if you prefer. And that's fine, that's just a part of life, I guess. But the interesting part to me is, whose fault is it? It's often deemed to be our fault. I don't know why. Is it because we're different, or in their eyes weird? For whatever reason, they deem it to be our fault. But it's actually not our fault. It's called the double empathy problem. Back in 2012, Damien Milton, who himself is autistic, did a study about this, and they used the game Broken Telephone to test this theory out. And if we remember the game, I'll explain it just to make sure everyone's on the same page. You get people in a chain, and the idea is the first person gets a message whispered in their ear, and they're meant to whisper it in the next person's ear, and on down the line it goes and gets to the end person. And whenever you play that game, the message at the other end is almost illegible. You can't understand it, makes no sense. So the message has been altered by the process of having it repeated down the line. But here's what they did in that study. They separated neurotypical people from autistic people. So now you've got a chain of only neurotypical, a chain only of autistic people, and then that message is far less altered or not altered at all by the time it gets to the other end. And it was pretty evident from that study that communication breakdowns are not the fault of autistic people at all. There was another study done, I can't remember the name of the researchers, but it was done in 2017, 2018, somewhere there. And that was a little bit different to the first study. They are related in a way because it's exploring communication between autistic and neurotypical people. And in this study, they paired up neurotypical people with autistic people, just a family member, just a pair. That's all they had, multiple pairs. As part of that, they would ask the neurotypical person what their perception is of the autistic person and their understanding of the neurotypical person. The neurotypical person would report, I don't think they understand me at all. I don't think they're getting me at all, based on all these preconceptions, not through to lack of ability, by the way. But then what did the autistic person say? Well, it was revealed in this study that autistic people actually are well and truly able to understand the neurotypical person's point of view, even if they don't agree. Even if they don't agree with what the neurotypical person's saying, we are able to understand what their message is. Honestly, I find that very revealing and very interesting, especially considering it's not due to lack of ability on the neurotypical person's part. It's just preconceived notions and presumptions that they have made. And of course, I would imagine that if they're armed with that information now moving forward, they would likely go, oh, okay, they are getting me. And this is my experience. I've found that because I'm disagreeing with someone, they instantly assume, and I'm pushed back and I'm saying, hang on, what about this? And I'm scrutinising what they're saying. They instantly assume that I don't understand. They instantly assume I just don't get it or I don't get them. They never say that though. They never say, I don't think you understand what I'm, because if they said to me, can you explain it to me, what I've just told you, I would do that. And I don't think it's wise to push back on something unless you've grasped what they've said first. And of course, like I always say that neurotypical people don't like scrutiny a lot of the time. They don't like the extra questions because they're projecting. That's what, when they do that same thing to other people, it's negative. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. They're doing it because they don't like what they've said, or that they are, pushing back at their authority or something like that. So again, just to clarify, when I'm pushing back, it's not because I don't like what they say. I don't, there might be some flawed logic in there. That's the problem I have. And a lot of the time, just to be clear here, if you think I'm contradicting myself, it's usually just simply something to do with science or medicine or things along those lines. And then people will just make these bold claims, which is just pretty much an argument from incredulity. They don't understand a thing, therefore it's wrong. that kind of thing. And when I will push back at that. So yeah, maybe I don't like it, but just to not misconstrue my point, when we ask questions of neurotypical people, wanting clarity, wanting to understand what they're saying, that's often why that they don't like it. It's they're projecting, and they're just like, oh, well, if that was me doing that, I'd be doing it for the wrong reasons. So the only thing we can expect out of this is to hopefully, with those around us that know us, that we can let them know that that's not what we're doing. And eventually over time, my partner has learned that often when I ask questions or follow-ups, it's not, something bad. It's just me just trying to understand. So if you resonate with any of this and you're autistic, particularly late diagnosed because you, like me, have been masking and hiding it your whole life and letting people get away with their bullshit a lot of the time, and then you start to drop the mask a little bit like I am doing, and I find that it upsets people. But that's their problem at the end of the day. And, if that's happening to you, you just need new friends, because if they're not liking this is the real you, and they never liked the real you. Anyway, rant over. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Have yourself a good day.